We're right back into it. Going for our next game of Week 6 of the LJL. Coming up next, we're going to have V3 Esports taking on Rascal Jester. Continuing along with the reign of V3 Esports, as they're going to need one more win to find a 2-0 week here. Well, this is going to be Rascal Jester first up to bat for today. After a less than desirable week prior, they've sort of had a little bit of inconsistencies with their past couple weeks. Their games yesterday against Sengoku and Burning Core neither looked very good, while Burning Core came out the gates of these 2 weeks swinging. Sengoku also. Rascal Jester kind of caught the run back that Sengoku was on. It was sort of Sengoku got into loser's bracket and they weren't too happy about it. And then immediately they were like, well, the next guy that runs into me is gonna get bopped. So what's unfortunately happened for Rascal Jester, and they're one of the teams that I don't want to count them out just yet, but Rascal Jester has really struggled, or has not seemed to have innovated very much over the course of the past couple weeks. And it's really come down to Rascal Jester just kind of has a couple clear-cut weaknesses. And not to pick on anyone in particular, but Pink has really been struggling this split in general. His champion pool has been exploited by a number of teams. Even putting him on support picks, the rest of the team just does not meet the bar against the likes of even Burning Core when they got the ideal setup, or Sengoku in the yester week. That being said, up against V3 Esports is where your work is really going to be cut out for you. And I'm hoping that Hacha Mecha is at least prepared for this one. But it's gonna be tough, to be sure, and Rascal Jester all across their lanes is going to have a bit of trouble. And one thing that is going to be a little bit to the benefit of V3 Esports is that where earlier I was talking a little bit about how Ace did not have the best performance on Jace, and that possibly could have been looked at more as champion comfortability. He looked amazing on that Zoe, finding that early double kill, and then just playing out the rest of the game very well. So he is a proficient laner even outside of having help from Boogie, but we'll see how this game ends up shaping for the side of V3 Esports, or unless Rascal Jester are able to try and pull something out here. As LeBlanc is going to be banned away here alongside the Elise. Funny to see an Elise ban, a little bit of a blast from the past from V3. I believe it was a spring split where Elise went almost had like 100% pick ban throughout the total of the split. The LJL, not exactly a huge fan of Elise, but not a huge fan of LeBlanc either. They were the two titans of bans in the prior ends of this split, but Karma and Twisted Fate also going to be taken off the table. Soon to follow is Ash, and will we see the Bard ban as well is really the question that we're asking. With Rascal Jester, their last ban likely would be seeing a set ban. We usually see an R3 ban of set. Perhaps they're willing to pass it over this time, and would be risky because Reyna has had outstanding performances on set in the support lane, as well as Paz is a proficient set up towards the top side. So there is that to think about. But Aphelios going to be taken off the table, and V3 are in a pretty decent spot right now. Set on the table. You can grab Galio for Ace if that's what you're looking at. Or think about grabbing an Ezreal for your AD carry position, but it will be the set holding on to that flex potential, and I do think that's the best choice for V3 Esports here. Hides their draft a little bit and really helps out with their overall position of don't show your hand. A lot of teams, it ended up being their downfall to show their hand too early. Please do not lock in the bear on an R1, Rascal Jester. I'm... Oh boy. They are going to lock in the R1 bear here, and you can see the 23% win rate. I know Rascal Jester can't. I know they don't see what I see here in the studio, but 23% win rate. Stop locking in this bear. But Rascal Jester feel confident in doing it. They're going to lock in a Varus alongside it, so V3 have a couple of options available to them. Now, of games where Kalista shows up, I don't think into Varus specifically is a very bad option. I think Varus has a little bit of mobility issues that can be punished by a Kalista, and V3 are going to be locking that one in. But I am curious now what they're going to be picking to support it, and not necessarily in the support position, because Kalista set is a very strong lane in its own right. But LeBlanc is usually looked at as the mid lane early centric champion that we often see, but we'll see V3 Esports locking in a Sylas here, and that's sort of a little bit interesting. Now, where we did talk about in the last game, the downside and a little bit of disconnect in when these champions come online is Kalista is very early game focused, and Sylas will kind of need a couple items to really get going. But on the side of Rascal Jester, going to be locking in the Braum as well, adds a little bit of protection to the bot lane there, a very defensive pick, and I do like that the Braum for the Glacial Fissure, it's a great disengage tool, but also really sets the field in benefit of Rascal Jester, where if you throw that down on a Sylas that's trying to go in on you, not only are you putting a harsh divide between your team and theirs, but anyone caught in the middle, knocked up, slowed, and is just going to get run down by the comp Rascal Jester seems to have here. So if they're going to try to play defensive, they have a decent comp to be doing just that. Well, Rascal Jester banning away the Nidalee from Boogie, not a bad look. I'd personally like to see something like a Wukong ban as well to further deter to take away a couple dive options from V3 Esports. But with a Renekton ban up towards the top side, we'll see what Rascal Jester have in store. As I wouldn't think it too far off for Rascal Jester to not think it worth banning top laners in the event that we have that you have counter pick advantage. So while you can lock in a Wukong if you are V3 Esports and it'll work with your comp, Rascal Jester can pick whatever they want to punish it. And that is definitely going to be a consideration that V3 need to think about going forward in this draft. But Mordekaiser going to be taken off the table here. Pause, a very familiar Mordekaiser. He's had a couple standout performances on that, specifically into Wukong, so consideration taken there. Rascal Jester will need to decide on their next pick. The benefit that V3 still has is that this Sylas is flexible. It can be moved between top and mid lane and even jungle. Although it's not his best role, it is still an option, but that is going to be the Lulu locked in for pink in the mid lane, which means a couple things. It can mean that Ace is safe on this Sylas in the mid lane to get to a couple of his core items. You aren't bullied out too hard by a Lulu, but V3 thinking about pivoting this set around as a Thresh is locked in here. And where will everything fall into place on this last pickup? Wukong, like I mentioned, still on the table. There's a couple other brawly champions that you can get. You can grab a Galio here if the Sylas ends up in the top lane and have the Galio to kind of fall back on. Hovering that Wukong. I know I was hard on that one because I knew it was going to be an option, but the quick swap over to Camille And I don't mind the Camille here either. Camille is slightly more favored in the LJL in general over Wukong. The engage range definitely helps out of things, but has a little bit... isn't quite as weak in the laning phase, and I think that's partially why a lot of LJL teams will lean more towards Camille rather than Wukong. Doesn't have as great of a team fight presence, but in a game like this, V3 are going to be all in at nearly every opportunity they get, and there's no backline that you need to be protecting. Archer is really just going to be following up on the brawl that the rest of his team is setting up, so Rascal Jester have a couple decent tools to help deter that. You have Varus R, you have Braum R, and you can't even use the Jace knockback defensively if need be. But I'm curious to see if what Rascal Jester will be doing, as there isn't the most amount of damage, but there also is a succinct lack of AP on their team. So V3 can really stack up a couple armor items, and that's sort of the detriment that we see with Pink, where we're constantly pushing him over to support picks, like we mentioned before, and it's now going to be evident with their lack of magic damage in this comp. Of course, Art still could go for the AP build. That is still an option for Varus, but it doesn't feel the best for him, and in this kind of a game, you're going to need all the damage you can get to start to really slay all of these big beefy gentlemen and scissor-legged lady who want to just try and get in your face and on top of everything you love. But will remain to be seen, and this is sort of... This is sort of what I feel like post-draft predictions, I'm definitely going to give this one to V3 Esports. I think their comp is overall very sound, and I think LJL needs to learn one way or another that the bear is just not cutting it. The bear has been hyper prioritized in week 5 and a little bit in week 6, and to virtually no success, a 23% win rate, but still receiving the first couple picks in each of the games it's showing up in. I have to say, looking at things for V3 and Rascal Jester here, if Rascal Jester are undone by their own bear, they'll have to bear the consequences. Alright. But that is a point that I do want to look at. Just, I mean, it's odd because while we understand why we're banning Set every game, a lot of teams understand that pretty soundly. Is that Set has a lot of flex potential, he's really good at his job, and he was getting wins. He was winning, and even if he wasn't getting the win in the fight per se, or excuse me, if he wasn't getting the win in the game, there were a lot of fights that Set was just outright winning by good positioning, good ultis, into facebreaker combos, things of that nature. Where have we seen the Volibear pop-off plays? Where have we seen Volibear doing nearly anything that, say, an Olaf couldn't do, or a Set couldn't do, or any of the other meta junglers that have been showing up around this time? And I understand that the jungle pool is rather limited, but I definitely feel like the priority on Volibear in favor of trying out some other picks only serves to the detriment of the teams that are just all-inning this Volibear every chance they get. This segment has been called Dr. No Molds about Volibear for the next 2 minutes, but I promise I won't talk about it too much more. What I do want to talk about, though, is just Rascal Jester, and it's so odd because Rascal Jester had some genius moments in draft, and even into Volibear specifically. I always think back to their game against Hawks Gaming, where that was their second win. And Hawks Gaming insta-locked a Volibear. Rascal Jester held onto that pick and then countered it with a Kale. And like, they just, you just ignored the bear.
LJL 2020サマースプリットウィーク6ゲーム5 V3 スポーツ vs ラスカルジェスターの試合スタートです。さあレベル1は V3 むしろあれじゃ入ってる。
As we get things started along here, this is going to be a set in the mid lane. Will be taking up that phase rush, and honestly, is a bit of a scary prospect for Pink. Doesn't have as long of a lane, so it does have the shorter lane to fall back on. But Ace opting into heal is actually, I think, a genius idea. I don't know if he has Hex Flash as well, but the heal just to be able to pop to proc your Nimbus Cloak, run forward. And Pink is going to be a very squishy Lulu. That is not a tanky mid laner. It is not like a Karma mid that you could pivot into a top lane build given the current state. I'm a little bit surprised that Boogie did opt into taking the Sylas into the jungle. I think definitely Sylas's lack of clear speed, and which had been nerfed a number of times, kind of inhibits him from being a super proactive jungler. But as it stands right now, you don't exactly need proactive lanes in this kind of a game, so we'll see how V3's lanes are able to hold up while they wait for Sylas to get to his online point of this game. And we'll watch as the Twitter votes come in. Yeah, I voted for V3 as well coming into this one, as Rascal Jester have just had a little bit of struggle early on in this one. The AI benefiting Rascal Jester is a little bit surprising, but might be leftover remnants of how good Varus has been and the shine that Varus has had in other regions. But this is a on-hit team fight Varus. This is not your normal lethality Varus. Still a huge threat in the later portions of this game. It does a decent amount of damage, but doesn't posture the same. It doesn't pose the same kind of damage profile. So we'll see Boogie opting for a full clear, it looks like. Going to be clearing away his blue, and by that point, Gromp should be up. Or excuse me, the Scuttle Crab should be up, but that's not one he can necessarily take. Hachimecha will definitely win out a scrap on that front. Boogie's going to make his way down. He's thinking about going for this grab. He hits the Vision Cone, which should give signs over to Rascal Jester, but they did see that Hachimecha finished off his Krugs. The ping came out, so Boogie's just going to actually steal this one away. Good stuff from Boogie. Being first to the punch there definitely came in clutch, as Boogie's going to help shove in the lane for his mid laner there. Help him fetch that prio. We're actually going to see Boogie get the double crab off onto the Volibear. And it really came down to a vision differential of two things. And the only reason I start talking about this every time V3 is on stage is because I just think Boogie is that good at this. He put the ward over onto the blue side of Rascal Jester, so he knew kind of where Hachimecha would be. And the other one, hold on, we'll hold this thought as Boogie's going to find an opportunity here. Lanterned in, will he find the combo? The chains are going to land, Nagi's going to go down, as Archer's going to find a spear in the heart of our frozen comrade Braum there. But first blood going over to Archer in the bot lane is a great way to start things off for V3 here, as Boogie's thinking about wandering over onto Hachimecha. Not a fight you necessarily want to take just yet, so gonna be able to just take a back there. But we'll watch how this kind of played out a little bit here. Naki just kind of wandering a little bit too far forward, not respecting where V3 could be. Rascal Jester were just way too close to a bush they had no vision of. That was really just the carrot on the stick. And Nagi and Art bit into that one hard, but V3 will find first blood off of that. And while we are talking about the jungle routes on screen here, you can see it was the moment where Hachimecha did not enter the river from the bottom side of things that let Boogie know where he was and what kind of a clear he got. And immediately, Boogie is just so good at not only converting that, but then retaining that advantage, gives his mid laner a shove, moves over to the bottom side to secure that double crab. Definitely sort of the benefit you can have as Reina kind of baiting a little bit that he was going to pull in a jungler. Little did he know that Lantern was out of oil and was not going to be pulling in a Boogie anytime soon, but Archer's gonna just kind of shove this one back in. They could be letting it push into them, but likely want to be shoving this one up so that they can get onto this Infernal Drake early. As Reina's gonna try to zone away for now. They want to balance out making Rascal Jester miss as much CS as possible, but also denying them from being able to move over to this Infernal Drake. And the vision from V3 Esports should be enough that they can start this one up in relative safety. One of those words was safe in it. As V3 are going to start up this Drake. They're going to have vision on Hachimecha as well on his blue side. So they know where he is, they know he's around, but not going to be able to stop that one just yet. As Boogie's wandering in here. It looks like Hachimecha's on the run. They are onto him with that ward, and Hachimecha really wants to walk back up and clear that ward, but he might have just done himself in as he's going to be forced to get away there. I think he got the Nimbus Cloak proc off of Blue Smite, and he's going to be able to get himself to safety there. So I don't really know why Hachimecha really wanted to remove that pink ward, but that is going to be blue buff over to Boogie, and he's just making great use of his lane so far. Playing it very similarly to this comp's version of what a Karthus jungle would be like. And speaking of junglers, Hachimecha looking around in the bot lane here. The wave is really big on the side of Rascal Jester, so this isn't a real opportunity for a gank, unless Art's going to hit 6 relatively soon, but no minions left to be doing that. He is going to complete the back there, and Boogie can go in here. He has 2 decent ultimates that would kind of work for this gank, between Chains of Corruption and the Glacial Fissure there. The question is, will he get the opportunity? V3 are going to try to bait him in with a back a little bit here. Boogie's going to go forward. There goes the Kalista ultimate. 2-man knock up, 2-man flay. As the Chains of Corruption fly in onto Art, he's going to be going down to Reina's Ignite. V3 were kind of baiting. They're like, yeah, Rascal Jester, come at us. Come on, let's dance. Like, oh man, we're backing in the open. And then V3 kind of got impatient and they said, all right, push send. We'll just blow them up the old-fashioned way, as Ace is going to be wandering around here, walking across a bit of vision to get to this top side. He doesn't seem to care. He's going to try to clear out this pink ward, and Hachimecha is not going to make the time to try and fight him for it, as he will be checking over. Does not know he's there. Hachimecha did cancel his back. You can hear the Splinter Cell music playing in Hachimecha's head, as he might be looking for a dive opportunity here. This is a full HP Camille with ultimate. This would be a hard ask of a dive, as they will make the call to go in on it. Hachimecha's going to start things off, but the Hextech Ultimatum should keep him there for now. Paz goes for the re-engage. Crazy stuff, but he will have a lantern to get him out to safety. Reina's going to get a 3-man flay, and here comes Boogie trying to get things rolling as the dunk under turret. Going to try to pull Hachimecha backwards as well. There he goes. The W healing will only buy Hachimecha a little bit more time, as there comes Paz back over the wall. He should just be able to knock him down. No, flashes away to safety, and Pink pays for his sins. That felt like a desperation play by Rascal Jester. Well, Archer is alone in the top side. Rascal Jester trying to aggress on him in the meanwhile, but Rascal Jester had no business going for this dive. Camille is a hard enough champion to dive already, as you can dodge out on a lot of damage with the Hextech Ultimatum and separate the members very easily. But they decide to go for it anyway. Pink makes the call to go up. I actually would have liked to have seen Pause hang out under turret a little bit longer, but of course it does get canceled out, so you have no reason to go there. The re-engage was really what was surprising by Pause there, as the cleanup crew arrives to knock down Hachimecha and Pink. A lot of summoner spells burned, but keeping Rascal Jester off the board and slowly accruing that gold lead for V3 Esports. The ball is rolling as that minion's gonna eat the death sentence for Art there, but just pull in the jungler anyway. Oh, they line up for the Glacial Fissure. Luckily, Nagi's shield gonna block out that one, but will they be able to get onto Nagi in time? Reina, that looked a little weird, but in the end, Art's gonna pay for his sins as our carry Reina goes up to 2-0-3 in the lane. 150 gold shutdown onto our support player there. Looked a little bit weird. It kind of looked like that could have been something in the buffer from online where it just looked a little bit different of where he ended from that Callista ultimate. But Ace is going to be the new target here. Boogie's just kind of running around the map, ganking everywhere he feels like it. He's going to take a little bit of return damage there. Pink's going to do a healthy amount of damage on that front. Nothing that he can't shrug off just going back into the jungle, but I do like that harass from Pink. And right now, every one of these just kind of skirmish plays that V3 starts up is just going to be their benefit while Rascal Jester wait for the team fight phase. Meanwhile, top lane is a decisive island. Unfortunately, Cogcog did go down in that last gank, but Pause with about a 30 CS lead. 25 CS lead, I believe, total, but hold that thought. Rain is going to find a bear on the pit. He's just going to ult right over the wall. Reina is a poker playing king right now, as all of his bluffs have kind of been working. He's gonna deter that Rift Herald play with no show from a Boogie there. While Boogie is on the bottom end of things, he's just gonna clear out a bit of the vision, put pressure onto Rascal Jester, but more so, begin dedicating time over to this Cloud Drake. Callista's going to shove in the last of that wave. They should just be able to start this one up and burn it down fairly uncontested. Art doesn't have Bork yet, so he doesn't have the extra on-hit passive. But the question is, will Hachimecha decide that they need to make this call anyway? They would have all of the tools they need for a team fight, except for the items. And I think that will just be why Rascal Jester going to choose to back away from this one. They'll hand over one more Drake. And the risky part is, of course, it is either ocean or mountain. I'm saying ocean. I believe it is mountain Drake hitting the rift. Yeah, alright. Lost the 50-50, but speaking of 50s, 5-0 is the scoreline for V3 Esports, as they have just had a dominant control of this early game. Not an unexpected one. But while Rascal Jester are still trying to grit their teeth and bear it, while they work their way towards this team fight section. I am so sorry for the double pun there. No, I'm not. I did it on purpose. I'm just a terrible person. But speaking of terrible, Hachimecha waiting in the wings might make this play go terribly for V3 Esports, as the exhaust is going to come down. That's going to stop Archer in his tracks for a good while. So he's going to get burned down. They should be able to get the trade kill on to Braum there. Literally, they know that Rain has been the carry this whole time. Pink wandering in to Boogie's face. He's not going to go down, as Boogie doesn't have quite enough damage to just burst him all the way through. But he does have a beautiful ultimate for Ace. If he wants to take the dunk in, he can with the ultimate polymorph. It's going to be going on in there. The Hugify doing so much already. And Art's going to go down to that Haymaker. One little extra auto there as Boogie's going to get the W. A little extra healing, but goes down in the end. Ace is just going to find another one here onto Cogcog. No, the knockback is just going to be enough. Ace, not enough move speed to get onto him. Hachimecha is doing what he can, but he doesn't even have enough mana to throw down an E. I don't think Cogcog has an escape. Ace is not gonna go for the move speed from the scuttler, but nah, he got him anyway. So what does it matter as Ace is gonna pick up a total of 3 kills in that one, and as it stands right now, you get a little bit of good shutdown going for you if you are Rascal Jester in that one, but Ace just got a big old gold steroid in his favor. As this is a great position for Hachimecha to be in, you can turn this aggression pattern, and this was just honestly V3 Esports getting a little overzealous. You have almost no right going for this play as you don't have the vision control of the bush, you barely have vision control. There's no deep wards in the blue side jungle, but I love this recovery here coming out from Ace. There was almost a moment where he wasn't quite sure if he was going to get the Hugify, but once he does, Ace can really just start walking through this fight, and that's a lot of extra HP to rely on once you throw down that haymaker. And then at this point, you can batter him away all you want. Hachimecha just said, you know what, that's just a little bit too tanky of a boy for my blood. One of us is going to have to go down. So in that scenario, it might as well be Cog. As speaking of Cog, he's going to be aggressed on again. Flashes forward. Hextech Ultimatum is here as Boogie's going to be the one to tank this up, but does not have to tank it for long as they're going to get the kill. A good flash hook shot coming out from Boz in the top side. And right now, with a 3k gold lead and pure objective control on the side of V3 Esports, I believe this still is first Herald. They did deter Rascal Jester's Herald trade earlier on, but Boogie finally having enough strength that he feels like he can go for the top side. Doing a little bit of a Vlad impression in his build pattern. He already, I think, has close to max CDR, but that's going to be the Callisto ultimate to try and save Reyna there. The Flay is going to be good on the multiple members as Pink's going to be a little bit hung out to dry. The flash is not going to be enough as the Ren damage comes through. Ace is now here though. Facebreakers onto Nagi. That's not exactly all the members you want, but he has the dunk to get right back onto Art. Hachimecha is going to be going down here as well as the Haymaker's just barely not going to connect. But it will cost Art his life in the end, and as it stands right now, this is just everything V3 could want and more. First turret and second turret soon to follow, as well as just kills flying in across the map. 13-4, and it's never a good feeling when Boogie, the one scaling champion on the side of V3 Esports, is already so fed. But this play was really a desperation attempt from Rascal Jester. You have to get something, but the teleport comes in. Ace is already on his way down, and if you are Rascal Jester, I understand how this play comes about. You feel desperate. It feels like you're just slowly losing everywhere on the map, but unfortunately, losing 5-0 across the map is a small price to pay in comparison to just outright losing one of your own engages when you're just not strong enough to take it. And you can see Ace is going for the full tank build. He is just going for, I don't care about doing damage. I am just going to run in on you, and if you don't have the ability to stop me, then I'm gonna be dunking, I'm gonna be face breaking, and I'm gonna be breaking your lines wide open. As the E chain's gonna land on a Hachimecha. Exhaust is gonna keep him down for now, but Hugify and the ultimate on the bear is gonna make him a very tanky member. Kokok's gonna come in to try and finish a little bit of this off, but Nagi's gonna be first to go down here. Goes golden, but will only buy him so much time. Boogie's at very low HP, but here comes Pause. Hextech ultimatum onto Pink. That's going to be enough to knock him down as he's going to zone away the rest of the members for now. Still going to need someone to tank up this Mountain Drake, but it should be theirs in safekeeping. As Paz a little bit late to the party, but happily seen there. And Boogie opted to complete a Spirit Visage instead of Proto Belt here. Alright, V3, when you're winning this hard, I'm gonna question Ping that one a little bit, as there is no AP users, save for Pink in the mid lane, and there was one time at the very early points before you were level 6 that you got autoed a couple times and it probably really hurt, but is it worth the Spirit Visage is really the question, as opposed to just picking up a Proto Belt and having that extra, or getting the same amount of value out of that Kindle Gem CDR. As these are resistance stats that, what are they really going to net you? You have a Mountain Soul, or you're going to have Mountain Soul this game if all things go according to plan. Is it really necessary to have magic resist as well? But the extra healing, of course, is somewhat valuable. Yeah, I don't think that was necessarily a play, but it's not exactly like that is going to be the thing that makes or breaks this game for V3 Esports. Dwarfing the kill count and slowly dwarfing the gold count as well, as V3 are just continuing their dominant show here. It does not matter if you buy a Spirit Visage. Does help with his brawling, but yeah, alright, I'm done talking about that, Boogie. When you're this fed, I suppose you're allowed to do whatever you want, as Ace is gonna find a face break onto a bear. Set one of the only people to probably actually want to punch a bear, as the Chains of Corruption are gonna land onto Art there. He'll be going down very soon. Nagi not long for this world as well, but the dash back out into Chains, re-landed on Hachimecha. Pink, the last remaining member in this fight. Kog'Kog walks back up. He wants to just give them the ace, it feels like, as that's gonna be a 1-for-all, as Ace is just looking to, he's saying, guys, please, I can tank, but the minions are here in the end. It doesn't much matter. V3 should just be able to open up this inhibitor here. And the gold lead just continuing to grow now to a 9k lead. We'll watch this engage one more time, and it was really just, like I said, if Boogie's this fed, he can realistically do whatever he wants. Ulti stole it, ulti cast, and the rest of the team was just not close enough to really salvage this fight before it was over. Reyna the sacrificial lamb on that one, but in the end, he was not long for this world either, and there Boogie actually would have died to the turret shot if he didn't dash forward for the W healing, but hey, maybe that little extra healing from the Spirit Visage was what made him live at the end of that all. Prove me wrong, Boogie. This game is pretty much all but over. Miracles can happen, but it's going to take a little bit more than one miracle for Rascal Jester to really find their way back into this one. As Kog'Kog already 2 lethality items in, this is pretty much as strong as he's going to get, as well as the bear just is nowhere near the amount of defensive stats or HP to stand up to V3 Esports. Baron going to be started up here by V3 Esports, and there is just zero contesting power for Rascal Jester. They're going to make an effort to do so anyway, to hopefully try and salvage this game. Baron at about half HP. Nagi's going to be the one to find Ace here. Should get a stun off of the Braum passive, but not before Nagi goes down to the Haymaker. Flashing over the wall. Reyna might have just not found the death sentence he was looking for, but hype plays like that are really all you can do to just pad your frag videos at the end of this game, and this is just going to be V3 cleaning up one last fight. Rascal Jester looking like a bunch of jokers themselves, while the pings come back out going into the mid lane. Paz is hunting him. He has teleport to get back to the mid lane, so he's realistically the member that should be doing this. Hachimecha is going to just opt to duke it out with him in the end. Will he be actually able to do this? The healing's going to be a decent amount, but I don't think it'll be enough. Paz is just a little bit too fed right now, as the stun's going to come in, and Paz wins the 1v1 in the end. Not even going to bother to teleport to be in the family photo. He says, I'll take blue buff to pad my KDA. It's actually V3 are not going to be able to finish there because of all that. Although they are not finishing the Nexus off in a literal sense, they are finishing this game off in a standing sense as they reach an 11k gold lead over Rascal Jester. And the Mountain Soul will be putting that final nail in the coffin as well.
さあこれでマウンテンソウル獲得 V3 リプレイです。
And watch how this all broke out one more time. Ace is just not the member you want to be face checking if you are Rascal Jester. And you can just see Art just does nowhere near enough damage to really deal with Ace in any reasonable amount of time. But I like watching this kind of play from V3 Esports because just the all on the same page turn, the cohesion and the togetherness that they're providing with their turn is exactly what I like to see coming out of them.
どこに置きましょう。
ジャングルでいいんじゃないですか。
フロントラインなくなりますけど。
トップにオンを置いて。
I am not 100% sure, but I think Asunion just said jungle difference, and I do need to brush up a little bit, but as it stands right now, you could definitely be typing that one in chat, as that's going to be the Kalista ultimate flying in. The dunk is going to find his way. 3 members pulled in with that face breaker, as Paz is just going to solo the bear off to the other end of the side. No one lost this time. 5 times the amount of kills as Rascal Jester, as V3 just put on a show for this one, finding their victory. Almost had 700 gold shutdowns across every member. But that's going to be the end of that one. V3 Esports taking home a fairly safe win over Rascal Jester. They're going to find themselves 2-0 in the week so far. A great way to finish out week 6, and if their record can continue, pretty good luck for the rest of this split, or the rest of the regular split. While Rascal Jester, this is a tough week, and hopefully they'll be rallying back before they return to the stage versus CGA. Don't go anywhere if you're looking forward to those games. I will be back to be casting those shortly. If you guys are interested, feel free to leave a follow. I do all of the English casting for the LJL as the entire season. I also do other content, and I'm always going to be upgrading my production value. I finally have like a little bit of direction with what I want to be making this and how official I want this to be looking. So if you want to see it keep upgrading from here, be sure to tune in. All of that being said, though, thank you all again for tuning in. Going to be taking a brief break, like I mentioned, before we get into our Game 6, Rascal Jester versus CGA.
RJ のようなプロテクト ADC であったりだとかバックラインと前衛を切り分ける相手に対してオールイン構成もできるんだよって相手によって変えていけるそういった意味での手札を今回見せてきたのかなというようなゲームだったと思うので幅が出てきましたね V3。
さあそれでは見事勝利を収めた V3 スポーツからパズ選手のヒーローインタビュー準備ができているということなので下月さんお願いいたします。
はい、こちらには V3 スポーツのパズ選手にお越しいただきました。お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様です。
無事単独首位を守りきってスーパーウィークを終えましたがいかがでしたか？
そうですね、今週結構試合感が空いてて、
はい、
結構個人的にあと僕がオフラインの試合に慣れててオンラインの試合が結構なんか緊張感が出なくて苦手だったんでちょっと大丈夫かなって思ってたんですけど、はい、まあなんかなんとか勝ててよかったです
なるほど、ありがとうございます。それでは家川さんお願いいたします。
はい、パズ選手の方にはちょっとその昨シーズンとの、プレースタイルの変化っていうところについて伺っていきたいんですけれども、昨シーズンはですね4種類のチャンピオンをレギュラーシーズンで使われてました。そして今シーズンはもうなんとここまでで8種類のチャンピオン使われてるんですよ。ちょっとそのあたりで何かそのプレースタイルの変化ご自身で感じられたりしてるんですか？
特に変わってないかなって思うんですけど、トップのメタが変わっていろんなチャンピオンが出せたり、あと先出しするキャラもたくさん増えたんで、個人的には今すごく面白いメタなんじゃないかなって思ってますね。
あ、なるほど。今シーズンのトップレーナーのメタ自体がパズ選手に合ってるということなんですね。
多分そうだと思います。
なるほどなるほど。ありがとうございます。そしてここまで、非常に V3 スポーツ素晴らしい成績をレギュラーシーズン収めてますけれども、中心プレイヤーとして V3 スポーツの中心プレイヤーとしてパズ選手ここまで活躍されてきました。どうでしょう、今シーズンの V3 スポーツの強みってどんな